everybody, welcome back to Nerd Goblin Art. I'm Lula, and today it's a collaboration, an autumn one. I've got these little bits and pieces. I won't be using all of them, just some of them. And I've got my epic Dragon Mould. I love this mould, it's my favourite. I'm going to be using Tiny Turner's Inferno and Nature. And I've also got a bunch of these. These are nail art. These are from, I think they're from Amazon. They are nail art things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the powders only in the feet, the wing bones, and like the head. Okay, so, oh, it's a gorgeous colour, isn't it? Oh, I love that colour. It's just delicious. So I will be speeding you up, and I will play you some music while we do so. I'm using brushes today just to make sure I get down into the parts that I need to. So it takes a good few minutes because I'm blending two colours together. Enjoy my crazy music. I told you it took a while. Right, in the meantime, I have had my resin getting ready, and I'm just snipping off some leaves, and I'm just having a look to see where I want to place things. This doesn't happen anyway. I think you don't need this. Well, I looked and then I didn't do it anyway. I have been putting this mold takes a lot of resin, and I mean a lot. It's I believe 26 fluid ounces. I always get them. I'll double check. 26, 28. I am using my balance board. I've actually put my good board down. And don't forget to check my description box for discounts. So I'm just having a little sort round to see what I want to work with first of all. And I have split all of my resin, I've split it between like 4 of these cups because I don't want it flash curing in my big pot. And I do have 2 cups in my debubbler right now, just to try and help it a little bit, but I'm going to be using my heat gun as well as some isopropanol. So I'm just starting off putting some of the resin down so I can start getting some pieces in. And I also added some of my Intoresin non-sink glitter into that mix. And there's my heat gun, and I do use my heat gun quite a few times. And although this mold does take a lot of resin, it's not deep. You know, it is not deep at all. It's just big. So there's no worries about any flash curing. I'm using Craft Resin today. It's a 1-to-1. It's a great resin. I'm more comfortable using this resin for bigger things. I really trust it. I've not had any issues with it, and it's the same resin I used last time when I did this dragon. So I figured stick with what you know. I am using a combination of dried flowers that I purchased from Temu and some dried fake flowers and planty bits. These are from a UK shop called Hobbycraft, and it's actually a big bag set for making an autumn wreath. But as soon as I saw it in store, I thought, no, you know what? I think this will be fine for some autumn makes. So I'm really excited to be taking part in the autumn collaboration with loads of other makers. Yeah, so I am dipping a lot of stuff first in my cup of resin there, just to try and alleviate bubbles as much as possible. Oh, and I love those. I think, are they bunny tails or something like that? That's what I've always called them. I only had 2 and I'm gutted. So I'm going to have to see if I can source more of those. That's an acorn I've just put in. I'm checking it out. It's not a real one. I'm assuming it's, and I am right, it's going to float. Yay me. So I do think that even real acorns would probably float as well. I don't know. Bad ones maybe? Do they float? Is it like eggs floating and sinking? I don't know. But still, there we have it. So I've got my awesome tweezers out with the silicone edges, and they are so handy, and I am wiping them often. I do wish that I had more of those daisies and stuff, but I just didn't. I thought I did, but I did not. But these leaves are really handy. I'm just snipping them off. And those that I'm putting in there, they're like half like pumpkin cabochons. Don't even ask me why I thought that this fake berry type thing would go in there. And in my head, it just floated there. So I leave it for a few minutes just to see. But I will take it out as well. The mini sunflowers are from Amazon. They're not exactly what I expected, but I'm using them nonetheless. And I am snipping. There's a tiny bit of a stem on them, so I'm snipping it off because I just don't want it sticking up constantly. Yeah, it's just irritating, really. My only other fluffy bunny tail thingy majiggy, that's the real name has escaped me. I'm just really sad that I didn't have more of them. But you know, they are quite chunky, so and like I said, this dragon isn't deep, so you know, it's really picking and choosing. So I've just added a bit more glitter to that mix, and I'm scraping and scraping and scraping. I really did plan on not having to mix up any more resin. So this one's just from the debubbler. Degasser. I like calling it I'm calling it debubbler. If it's the wrong word, it's tough because I like it. Yeah, so scraping all of that out. Spot more glitter. I was aware that I'd been at this for a little while as well, so I didn't want the resin getting too warm. I think it's something like 30 to 35 minutes you have work time with this resin. So I just wanted to make sure it was in. And again, I'm not using a great deal of flame and stuff on this mold. It's too big. It's from Pouring Your Heart Out, this mold. She has it in her eBay store, but I got it via Amazon America, and it ended up not being terribly expensive, but I'm for some reason I just can't get hold of the link again, but it is available via Amazon America if you are interested. But I have popped Julie's link for her eBay store in the box below. It is one of my favourite molds, but it takes so much resin that it's only a now and again thing that I'm gonna use it for. Oh, and don't forget with this, you know, with doing this kind of thing, make sure you put in whatever you're using in upside down, because we're looking at the bottom. So you want to make sure that you put in the flowers like basically face down. So, you know, I'm doing it with the pumpkins as well. They're only half pumpkins, so I'm making sure the detailed is there. Now, every now and again, you'll see me dipping over, and that's because the flower, they want to float. So it's a lot of babysitting. A lot of babysitting. Just making sure that, you know, and they will move. It's resin. It's the stuff will try and move. So when you're doing something like this, if, yeah, obviously you can do it in layers if you want to. I've just taken the acorn out. It was too big anyway. So you can do that. I've seen Julie on Pouring Your Heart. I've seen her do this mold maybe one or two times, maybe once, doing it in layers just because for an effect. But you don't need to. You just need to keep an eye on it. You don't need deep bore resin for this either. I've never had a problem. Well, I say never. This is only the second time I've used this. Again with the heat gun, I'm just doing my best, because obviously I'm aware that I'm putting all these bits and bobs into the dragon, and I just really didn't want too many bubbles. You know, a few I don't mind, but I didn't want it to be overly bubbly. Yeah. Those little pumpkins are actually really handy. They are from Amazon as well. I didn't actually order them with this guy in mind. I ordered them because of the little ghost pets that I've been making. There's like little mini dioramas with my 3D printer, and they had, I've got plenty for those little scenes. But I was like, oh, they'll look good in there, and they sync, which is great. And again, using that heat gun there. I was having a little fight with that leaf because it really wanted to like curl into one, but all the others were fine. I didn't have an issue with any of them. I'm aware there are other things in the bowl that I haven't reached for. I realized after I put them out that those are like silk type leaf things. They were way too big for this mold. They would have, you know, taken over basically. So, and because them, well, I say they're like a material type thing. I didn't know how they would react with the resin. If I've seen people make like bowls and stuff with them, but with this dragon, I wasn't sure if it would, the colour would be affected or anything. So in the end, I decided not to, but the other leaves were fine, which is strange, but there we go. I remembered that I had another little set of like dried plants, but the little yellowy ones are from a different set, which is mainly like lavender colours. But I just thought that it needed that little extra something different with colour, but I didn't want to go for anything pink. I wanted to stick with the yellow, browns, reds types. And check that out. So more heat, more isopropyl alcohol. Let's look after this. And it was at that point I forgot the leaves, but I remembered the last minute. And then I realised that it's a bit hard to get these out. So I have taken off my gloves. Please don't worry, I'm not touching anything with my bear. I'm not touching anything. That is a fresh lollipop stick. Well, I say fresh, it's a cleaned lollipop stick from my jar. And my spoon is clean as well. I clean everything after I use them. And I do put my gloves, I do put a fresh pair of gloves straight on after I've done this. There you go. I haven't touched anything with resin, and I don't touch the actual resin. And I put fresh gloves straight on afterwards because I had to do cleanup anyway. So I decided to only use the red and the gold. I didn't want it overtaken. I just want it to be, there but not there at the same time, because I want it to be fancy. I didn't want it to be gaudy. So there you are. Just checking, just looking. Now the waiting game. It was the longest hours ever, and I did put my heat mat on because I wanted to get this done. I'm impatient. You should know this about me by now. I've not had millions of videos out yet, but I think it's quite obvious. I don't have long nails, so I use a dotting tool to assist me in getting out the molds. And my bird is having a dance there just to keep us entertained while we're waiting. There is a knack to this mold, and I think I've cracked it. As you could see, I was like pushing it down noise, then do that, but I do have to pick it up. Yeah, no peeking. Ha, spoilt it for you. I did have to bring it up closer to myself for the head, because that's I worry about that part. Are you ready? I'm so ready. Ready? Ta-da! Oh my goodness. I was actually stamping up and down. I was like, yay! Look at that. It's so pretty. and it worked. My goodness. Just take a second. Look at that. Now, the tail is still moving a bit, and that'll set. Don't worry. It's just wobbly. Now, I'm showing you here that I'm going to colour his eyes. Ooh, smoothing him. I'm so excited by him. So I'm going to use chrome markers. Sometimes I'll use acrylic paints, but these are handy enough. And I figured if I didn't like it, I can just wipe it off and I'll do it with acrylic paints if I want to. You can use UV resin and put eyes, you know, into it beforehand. But I'm not confident doing that with this dragon yet. I think I'd end up knocking them out, or they'd just disappear and be floating around somewhere in there. So I'm just using the chrome marker just to put on the back colour, and I'm going to give it a few minutes. And next, because, and they're not in the mould, I forgot to actually poke my stick down into the horns to make sure. So they didn't snap, they just didn't form. Now, last time I did this dragon, I repaired off camera and didn't show how I fixed it. So I thought it was a good idea to do that now. Now, he was missing just the ends of his, like just at the top of his nose horn, just the very top. And with UV resin, if you dot it on, you can manipulate it as you're drying it. You can tease it and pull it up. So I just built on that, pulled it up a little bit. Now I'm teasing. See that I'm pulling up there? I was just teasing the resin up, and it takes me a moment because it's so good. I'm using the, yeah, there. I'm not sure if you could see it, but you'll see it in the close-ups and the in the glamour shots. So I put it on, then I get the same tiny turner, powder out, brush it on, and then give it another bit. That's the great thing about the UV resins, because the powders will stick to it. So I put it back on, and another covering of the UV resin very lightly on there to stop it getting rubbed off. So he's now got his full horn. Now, these two horns, the last time I got one full horn out and the other one was not there, just didn't exist. So what I'm doing is I've just made a shape of like the inside of what I imagine to be the horn, like a little bone structure on the mat, and I've just turned it over, and I'm just gonna snip off, you know, I'm just checking, yeah, happy with that. So I'm just snipping off where I think I need to. Then I'm gonna use a piece, a bit of resin, just to get it in place, and then I'm going to build around it. You just got to be patient. The video is sped up slightly because it does take a lot longer than what you perceive. So just some patience, that's all. Just taking your time and thinking about it. But I just figure create like a bone structure, and then use your tools and work around that and build on it a little bit. And I did the exact same thing with this one as I did basically with the nose horn. I just teased it round. There you go. And I realised at the back it was missing. Nobody would really notice it unless they're like turning it upside down. But again, I know it's there. It's just me. It's the way I am. I can't help it. There, so I'm just working it there. I noticed that I put a bit too much to run, so I just using my craft knife, and I just took that little piece off. See, he's got a horn. So just getting out the same tiny turner powder that I originally put down in there, dusting it on, and just pop in some. I find it better just to put a little bit on my mat rather than putting it directly. Look at me smoothing him. Rather than putting it directly on the piece that I'm fixing or whatnot, I'll use my silicone tool, and I'd rather have a little dot of it on my, on my silicone mat. It's easily cleaned up, and I just prefer, I think you get a neater job doing it this way than trying to squidge it directly onto the dragon. Now I'm doing the next one. I'm doing the other one. Now this one, it wasn't so bad. It was just missing mainly the tip. Oh, the other piece, I don't know where it went. It flew. And I nearly lost that one. So this one was a bit more difficult because of it being so much smaller. And to be honest, I probably could have done this one directly on the horn, but like I did the nose horn, I could have put a little dab on and then built it and teased it. But I honestly thought that it was bigger than what it was. It took me a few moments to realise that I just couldn't do it with the tweezers, and it was just better to use my own fingers. So there. So what I did then was just I dipped the end of it into the resin that was on the table already, and then added a bit more. It's dry because it's a rainy, dull day here in South Wales today, but the studio has a lot of light in it, and doesn't matter UV, it'll still start going jelly like. And that's what's happened. That's why I had to put a bit more out. So again, done the same thing. A small bit initially just to get it in place, then a bit more to make sure it's held in. And again, putting the powder on just to ensure that it looks the part, and a bit of resin over there. Just like that. There's no need to worry when things like this happen. Look, it has horns. And now I'm just getting out my black Posca just to give him his eyes. So I'm just going for the traditional normal little lines in the middle. And look what I did. It's typically me. It's very typically me. I managed to knock off his newly made horn. But it was no harm, no foul. I could just stick it straight back on again and give it a quick dusting. Oh, I'm a nightmare on legs. I really am. I'm very clumsy. But, using my chin to hold on to a dragon, I realised that it snapped off easily because I didn't put enough on the underside. So my chin to the rescue to hold it in place while I was using. You really do need like free hands when you do resin. So putting the lid back on. Oh no, taking it off. Sorry, because I thought I was done. So I was just putting a bit more on just to make absolutely sure. I hope you've enjoyed watching this anyway, with seeing how it can be done. I've not been doing resin for the longest time. About 4 months I've been playing with resin. I've been an artist seriously as for the last near 2 years now. So creatively this is great for me. But I just want to show you that you don't have to be a full-on, pro. You can do it. It is possible. Right, put the lid on so that I don't tip it over, because that's typically what I would usually do. And it's too good a pigment to be dropping everywhere. So there you go. This is Autumn. And she has eyes. I think she looks quite, look, she's like, she's gorgeous. Please stick around for the glamour shots. Love you. Stay weird.